Okay, hi everyone. Let's take a look at this statistical problem where we'll put together a frequency distribution, a histogram. We'll answer a couple other questions as well. Now, the data I'm using comes from a data set of computer scores, which you see going down here. Now, let me show you one other feature of Excel that you can use periodically. If we highlight this range of computer scores, and you look at the top left corner, you'll see it's indicating the number of rows and columns I have set. Okay, now it'll disappear because I've scrolled. But let me bring the page back up. And then if you highlight right here, you can name that. And we'll just call this computer scores. Okay? I think if I widen this, it might even say, nope, it's just computer score, but we'll call it computer scores. And now you could use that. You could hit the F5 and it will show up, and then you could highlight it and go to that range automatically. And you can also use the word computer scores to represent a range in calculations. And I may do that further in this, but I thought I wanted to point that out so at least you know that that feature is available. All right, let's determine the minimum of this data set. So I'm going to type equal min, and there's Excel's minimum function. I will then come up here, hit the F2, and then I could type in the range. I could now highlight the range, right, which was all of these, or let me escape back. I think we can just hit the F5, or actually, let me do it this way, equals min, and then type in that word we created, computer scores, and you see it show up right there, so it knows the range, but we have to highlight all of it, get the whole word in there, and we come up with the minimum is 2. Now we can then copy that to determine the maximum, and just hit the F2, change that to say max, right? So we know the high is 59. Now the mean is the average. Let me just widen that so you can see it, right? The arithmetic mean is the average, so we'll use Excel's average function. And again, I'll type in computer scores and just start doing the beginning one until we find it. Close it, and we come up with an average of 34.44. And I just want to make that 34.4 is good enough. And the median, I think I already had that out there, but the way you would do that is you would type in median, which is the number in the middle of the set of given numbers, right? And we would type in computer scores again till we highlight it, then hit the tab to get it all. And we see that the median is 37, and it's a 37 even, but just to get a comparison, we'll put both of these to one decimal place. Okay, all right, now I'm assuming you have already installed the analysis tool pack. So then we can work on putting together a frequency distribution. So I'm going to go to the data, and you won't see me do this, it's above your screen, but I'll go to the Excel's menu data, and then off to the right I've got the analysis. I'll hit data analysis. It will pop up this little screen. We will choose the histogram, hit OK. Then it says what's the input range? Well, the input range, I'm going to hit F5, see if it comes up. No, it won't. Does it come up now? Okay, well, I'll start typing in computer. Let me see if I can type in computer scores and see if that'll take. Oh, it doesn't want it. I'm surprised by that. But now it takes. Now we'll see if that gives us an error, whether it actually recognizes the range. I think it should. The bin range, we have to put that together as well. So let me stop, cancel out of this right now, and we'll put a bin range together of, let's say, every 5 numbers. Okay, I stopped the editing of this and filled in some bin range. So you may have seen that right in here appear on the screen. It seemed like magic, but what I actually did was stop the tape and then just filled it in. Now I'm using an approach that's similar to what we would find in the book Statistics for People Who Think They Hate Statistics, where they're using ranges of 0 to 4 and 5 to 9. So they're ranges of of 5 each. And we'll use Excel's word to represent the range, which they call a bin. Okay, now one reason a range of 5 works is the textbook, the one I just mentioned, likes us to have somewhere between 10 and 20 ranges in a data set. So if I count the number of rows going down here, you can see it up there as I slid. If you look at the top left, it'll say there was 12 rows. Okay, see it on the top left? I can't point because as soon as I release it, changes to C9. Okay, so all I did is I typed 4, and then in every cell I typed that plus 5. All right, so now we can go back and enter the data analysis. Now, I have worked it ahead of time, so you're going to see the data show up. And that's only because it's remembering what I put in. When you do it, if it's the first time you do it, of course you won't have anything filled in the various variable or parameter areas. All right, so I'm going to go up to the Data menu, click on Data Analysis. It brings this up. I'll type histogram. Okay, now this is that area I talked about that's already filled in. The input range is A9 to A58. You could also just use the word computer scores if you would name the range, right? The bin range is this area right here. Okay, and I haven't named that, so it will say C9 to C20. Okay, then I've decided to put the output at cell E9, which is, that cell right there. Now let me put the bin back. I was on that as I was talking. Okay, I'll slide over. So E9 is the output range, which appears right about here on your screen. And then what I'm also going to do is put together the chart output so it'll take care of giving us the histogram so we don't have to go back in and do a bar chart within Excel, which is what we would need to do to print a histogram, because a histogram really just is a basic chart. Okay, so I'll hit OK, and then we get the information in the chart. Now let me slide a little bit so we can get this on the screen. We can shrink this down. Let's see, where else? We could probably move the chart over. But first let's talk about what it's done. It's gone through the computer scores and put them into various categories. Now, you could go back over this and change this word to range, right? Because that's essentially what it is. It's the range of 0 to 4, then 5 to 9, then 10 to 14, 15 to 19. Okay, but Excel will do this for you. It doesn't give you as clean an answer as you like, but you could certainly then go back and put those ranges over it. So we could call this 0 to 4, 5 to 9. And by the way, as I'm doing that, the graph is changing. Now I'll slide over. Okay, oh, it thinks that's May 9th, so I'll make that 5 to 9. Okay, and then 10 to 14. And you could keep on doing this, but I'll just do a little bit more here. And then I'll stop, but recognize if you do the rest of this, it'll look nice on your graph. Okay, and then the histogram, I'll slide that over, is using the data that appears right underneath here. But let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. Just slide it large. Okay, and it's giving us a graphical view of our frequency distribution. And that's about what the graph should look like, and that's what I wanted to illustrate in this time to practice. Now, let me do one other thing. Let me get rid of the graph for a minute, do the data analysis, and indicate that on here you could also ask for some other information like the cumulative percentage and a sorted histogram or Pareto, and hit OK. And it's going to output over the top. And then I think what I'll do is just slide. Let me make the graph a little bit bigger here. And then I'll slide over and show you what that produced. Okay, so there's our new frequency distribution table, and then off to the right we see the histogram that was produced from it. And now we get not only the frequency, but we get a cumulative line on the graph as well. Okay, thanks everyone. I hope you found that beneficial.